In today's video, we're going to take a look at a 6-shot revolver. Well, not that one. A smaller one. Nope, even smaller. Getting closer, but even smaller still. There we go, that's it. The XYTHOS automatic revolver. Inspired by the Colt Python, the XYTHOS automatic revolver is a miniature 6-shot revolver that fires 2mm Pinfire ammunition. It was originally designed and created in the late 1950s by Mr. Czech, the owner of André and Dvorsky, an Austrian watch company. Even though it is a revolver, it was named the XYTHOS automatic as it would automatically revolve the cylinder when the hammer is cocked. While not a novel concept for full-size revolvers, it is an accomplishment in the world of tiny miniature ones like these. The initial pre-production run of these little guns was made in 1959 and featured brown grips and silver-plated cylinders. The cartridge ejector rod was also silver-plated, and the trigger was plated in gold. These were primarily packaged as a tie and cufflink set and were given away as promotional items and gifts, and very few complete sets remain in existence. The official production versions were essentially the same as their pre-production models, except the grips changed to black and the finish was nickel as opposed to silver plate. The early production retained the upswept 9-ridge hammer as the pre-production models as well until 1970, when it was redesigned as a 5-ridge, straighter design. While primary production was nickel plate, silver and gold plate versions were also made on a limited basis, and in the final years the nickel plate gave way to chrome plating. Also, as production continued, slight changes were made to the design, with a front sight being added as well as a partial underlug barrel. Official production ended in 2012. Let's take a closer look. And we have here the little miniature XYTHOS 2mm Pinfire revolver. These are, as you can see, they're pretty small. They're a double action. Only a little operation there. When you pull the trigger, it will cock the hammer back, revolve the cylinder, and then release the hammer to fire. So basically, pull it back and it fires. Now, to unload or load, you remove the little pin here. It just unscrews, comes out, and then it allows the front half to open. As you can see, the cylinder is it's in two pieces. So the little Pinfire rounds, they would actually go right into these spots here. Now these are a 6-shot revolver. However, if you notice, there's 7 chambers, so to speak. There's actually only room for 6 Pinfire rounds. With the Pinfire round, the little pin goes into these little slots. And if you notice, this one here doesn't have a slot. This is supposed to be for an indexing pin, and this pin will align with the other half into that hole there, and then that's what would hold the two pieces together. Now, as you can see, the pin is missing on this one, and so I just made a temporary one for when we go to shoot. However, that pin is an important part of the operation and function of it, because the trigger itself, it revolves the back part of the cylinder. To revolve the front part of the cylinder, that indexing pin has to be in there. And as far as the pins themselves, they would just stick through the little slot there, and then when they're in the ready to fire position, they would basically stick straight up so that the hammer would then come down and hit the top of them, firing the round off. And then, of course, every time you pull the trigger, it would repeat that. Now on this side over here, there's a little threaded hole, and this is where this would screw on to, like, the either the cuff link or the tie clip attachment. It would thread onto that, and that's what would hold it in place. There's also a little decorative screw that would cover that hole when you're not using it as a cuff link or something like that. In this case, I'm missing that little screw. When I acquired this, it didn't have it. It also didn't have any of the other accessories like the cuff link or anything, but so it is missing that. If you notice, this is one of the versions that does not have the front sight. Not that the front sight's really, of any use. There's no rear sight anyway. It's just for looks. Now, this little notch right there, what that's for is it came with a one of those little the little keychain type things. You would take this screw out, you could take this grip off, and then put one of the balls on the keychain into that, put the grip back on, and then that would hold it in place. So there again, it didn't come with the keychain also. Really all that this came with when I acquired it was just a little case for it. It came with an extra little rod, so just a little case, and then the little cover for it, like that. So that's the XYTHOS 2mm Pinfire revolver. The XYTHOS is designed to fire live 2mm pinfire rounds. These small rounds are essentially a small metal cup with priming compound in it and a small pin that sticks out of the side. When the hammer strikes the pin, it drives it into the priming compound, setting it off. Even though these are tiny, a lot of force is created, making them not only very loud, but able to fire actual projectiles. Generally a 1.7mm lead ball, about the size of a small No. 9 birdshot, shaved flat on the front. These little rounds have the potential to penetrate wood and thin metal such as pop cans. I have several live rounds, so let's take it out to the range and see what they can do. And we're out the range today to check out the XYTHOS Pinfire revolver. I'm going to go ahead and take some shots. Of course, as is the case with any time you fire a weapon, make sure you have your ear protection. Alrighty. Take careful aim here. Going to go ahead and take some shots into some 10% ballistic gelatin and go ahead and see what kind of results we get. Since these are such small guns, getting a grip and being able to operate it presents a challenge. From an operational standpoint, I had several malfunctions, most due to the cylinder being slightly out of alignment with the barrel. This is due in part to the missing indexing pin. It has a temporary one I made to film this video, but the dimensions are slightly off, allowing for some play between the cylinder halves. I'll need to make a more permanent one with the proper dimensions. While this caused several malfunctions, I was able to get some shots off at both a target to test for accuracy, as well as a ballistic gel block. Well, mostly just for fun. With its lack of sights, non-rifled half-inch barrel, non-concentric bullets, and almost impossible to operate grips, the accuracy was about what I would have imagined. It was terrible. On the ballistics gel, I ended up with about a 1/4 inch of penetration. While obviously not a powerhouse, it's still something that could penetrate skin and especially eyes, so it still needs to be treated with caution. These are definitely not a child's toy. 2mm blank cartridges are also made, which just make the loud bang with no projectile. Even the blank rounds with no projectile, however, should be handled with care. Enough force is generated that they were able to develop a flare launching version of the XYTHOS, which featured a threaded barrel as well as a flare cup adapter. This adapter used the force generated by the little pinfire rounds to launch small colored emergency style flares surprising distances. So what is this little gun good for? Well, the same thing it was good for when they first came out. It's a just-for-fun novelty item. I'm sure that with practice you could get better at shooting them, but while you can still get ammo for them, it is expensive. Live rounds run $4 to $5 a shot, and the guns themselves, well, the original XYTHOS revolvers like this are now collector's items and getting relatively expensive. You could expect to pay $300 to $500 for one, and the more rare variants, prices over $1,000, are not uncommon. I hope that this information is of value, and if you liked the video, I would ask that you hit the like button and subscribe if you want to continue to see more like this. I value your comments and feedback, and as always, until next week, stay safe.